Good morning and welcome to Daily Tanya. Today is Friday, the 28th day of Iyar. And last night we counted 43 days to the Omer. We began the last week of the counting of the Omer. Getting ready next week for the holiday of Shavuot. Let's begin Tanya with Tzedakah. So we continue chapter 52, the second to the last chapter of the first part of the Tanya. And today we're going to be talking about the Holy of Holies of each world. What does that mean? What is the Holy of Holies? We're all familiar with a special holy room in the Holy Temple. And that was called the Holy of Holies. That was the most sacred room, where in there was placed the ark with the tablets, the 10 Commandments that God gave to Moses, the Torah. And this was a room that no one was ever allowed in. And only the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, once a year, on Yom Kippur, he was able to go into this room and was there very briefly in order not to scare the people, because anyone who was not qualified could not make it alive out of that room. And he made a short prayer in that room. In this room was really the revelation of godliness in this world, was in the room of the Holy of Holies. Now, the Rebbe here explains that this concept of the Holy of Holies is in each and every spiritual world. And that is what we explained yesterday, that for God to dwell in this world, to be revealed in this world, it needed to have a way of becoming clothed and covering the great infinite light. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to contain it. Just like the sun gives a light, but if the sun will be here, we will be consumed in the sun. We're not going to be able to be as separate entities. Like the light of the sun within the sun is not a separate entity. What is the garment that carries the light of Hashem and reveals the light of Hashem? That is the Torah, the intellect, the godly intellect that becomes a garment to the godly light. And because the root of the Torah is very high, it is not affected by the godly light in a way that it should be nullified. In other words, the Torah has such a power. On the one hand, it is rooted in the very essence of God. And on the other hand, God placed this Torah in every level. He lowered it to the point that even in this physical world, it is enclosed in very physical objects, talking about material things. And this is the wisdom of Hashem. The wisdom of God is one with God. So the Torah is the Holy of Holies. And in each level and in each world, the Torah, the wisdom of Hashem, is the source of the light of this world. And that just like the way in a human being, he explained, the brain gives to the rest of the body. But where does the person become revealed? Where does the person become, in what is the way the person is able to reveal himself to outside of him? What part of the person reveals the person? You look at a person, you don't see much in the person. When you start talking, when he speaks, The speech is what reveals what the person is. It communicates. Speech is called Malchus also. Malchus means royalty, because that's the same idea of royalty, a king. A king can only be king if he has a people to rule over. When he communicates his royalty, then he's king. If he's going to be a king in a deserted island, nobody's there, he's not king. So the royalty represents the communicative powers to the next lower level. Okay, so what we're saying here is as follows. We spoke in the previous lessons in Tanya about the 4 different worlds that godliness comes down gradually until it becomes very limited in a physical world, like the world that we live in. You have the world of Atzilus, which is the world of pure godliness. The world of Beria, which is the world of the godly intellect dominates. You have the world of Yetzirah, which is the godly emotions, the emotive attributes of God is dominant. And then you have the world of action, world of Asiya. Now in each world, the way it is revealed, it goes first. It comes into the intellect, which is called the Holy of Holies of that world, the godly intellect. And then it goes down all the way through the Malchus to the lowest level of this world. And in the lowest level, the Malchus, the royalty, it communicates. It has the ability to create being in that world. And the same thing, it continues to the next world. So I know it's a little complicated, and I'll try to explain it as we go along. So let's see inside what the Alter Rebbe says. Says the Alter Rebbe, "Ubeyiridasa, beishtalshlus me'olam le'olam, gam hashchina yoda v'nislap shaba b'chol olam v'olam." And this wisdom, this godly wisdom, came down by progressive descent from world to world. The Shechina too came down and clothed itself in each world. So the Alter Rebbe goes on. He says, thus within the supernal wisdom, which descends into each world, is to be found the Shechina of that world. So within the supernal wisdom, what is the supernal wisdom? The Chachma. And that is what he calls the Kodesh HaKadoshim. This is the shrine of the Holy of Holies, which is contained in each world. So the Shekhinah resides within the Holy of Holies of each world, and this being the divine intelligence and clothed in the Torah of each particular world. Because the Torah has many depths and many levels. Obviously, Torah is God's wisdom, which is one with God himself. But as it goes down in different levels. But no matter how low it goes down, it is still connected with the very essence of the godly wisdom. So also, as it's been stated in the Zohar and Eitz Chaim, that the Shechina, the divine presence, which is Malchus of Atzilus, the lowest level of Atzilus, which is the royalty of Atzilus, which, by the way, we began today. The last week of Sephira Sa'omer is the Sephira, the attribute of Malchus, of royalty, which is the revelation, the world of revelation, revealing the depth. So this is the Malchus of Atzilus, Shehi B'chinas Gilui Oyer Ein Soy Bochu V'Chaya Shemir Lo Olamis. being the manifestation of the light and vitality of the Blessed Ein Sof, which illumine the worlds. ולכן היא נקראת דבר השם ורוח פיו כביכול. This is because this level of Malchus of Atzilus is about revealing the world, illuminating the world, revealing the world. Therefore, it is called God's speech and the breath of his mouth, as it were. Kaviyachol. Obviously, we cannot attribute to God little physical attributes of speech, but the concept of speech describes somewhat this concept of the revelation of godliness. The purpose of speech is to reveal that which was concealed in thought. And it says, Al derech mashal, as in the case of the person, by way of example, speech reveals to the hearers the speaker's concealed and hidden thoughts. So this is what speech does, and the same thing is the idea of the Malchus of Atzilus reveals to the next world. It reveals to it in its own world. Again, in its own world, the world of Atzilus, there is the Malchus of Atzilus creates and reveals to those souls that are in Atzilus. And then it goes down from the Malchus of Atzilus into the next world, the world of Beria, into the Chachma of Beria, the wisdom of Beria. And then from the Chachma goes down to Malchus of Beria, to the attribute of royalty within that world. And from there it's revealed all of the souls and the angels that belong to that world. As the Alter Rebbe goes on to say, Hi mislabeshes beheichal kodesh kadoshim de Bria. So this Malchus of Atzilus shines and is clothed itself in the shrine of the Holy of Holies of Beria. Again, what is the Holy of Holies? It is the Torah, the brain, the intellect, which is the godly wisdom. So it clothes itself in the shrine of Holy of Holies of Beria, namely the Chachma, Bin and Das of Beria. ובהסלבשוסון במלכוס דבריאה נבראו הנשמות והמלוכים שבבריאה. Now, through the fact that the latter Sephiros, meaning the Chachma, Bina, Das, they clothe themselves in the Malchus of Beria, in the level of Malchus, level of royalty in the world of Beria, the souls and angels which exist in the world of Beria have been created. Because again, the Malchus is about revelation. So it reveals to the Neshamas and the Malachim, the angels of Beria. And the Rebbe goes on to say that also the different aspects of the Torah come from different worlds, are rooted in different worlds. There is the aspect of the Torah that is called the Talmud. What is the Talmud? The Talmud is not just the book of the Talmud, but is the concept of the way of studying Torah, the way it is in the Talmud that we know, which is the analytic studying of the Torah, understanding everything. Why is this? How is this? This compare this law to that law, this verse to that verse, this sage says this, and this sage says that, and what is the ruling, and so on and so forth. The Talmud is a very analytical, intellectual study. That level of studying of the Torah, which is the Talmud, is rooted in the world of Beria, because the world of Beria is the world of the intellect. It says the Alter Rebbe, "V'gam misham nimshach haTalmud shelafaneinu," and from there, from the Malchus of Beria, in which is enclosed the Shechina, meaning Malchus of Atzilus, which previously had clothed itself in the Chachma Bina and Das of the world of Beria, after which the latter are clothed in the Malchus of the world of Beria, derives the Talmud that we possess. We're saying the Talmud that we possess, the Talmud that we understand, that we know, comes from that place. Obviously, the Talmud, the teaching is much deeper than that, holier than that. But what we possess, the Talmud that we understand and we can connect, is connected with that world of Beria. And again, how does it come? Comes from the Malchus of Atzilus, the higher world, shines in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, the Holy of Holies of Beria, and then from there it comes into the Malchus of Beria, and from there it reveals the Talmud that we understand. As been previously explained in the name of the Tikkunim from the Zohar, שבעולם הבריאה מאירויס ומשפיעיס שם חכמסוי ובינוסוי ודייתא של אין סוף ברוך הוא בבחינת צמצום עצום. And in the world of Beria, there shine and flow forth the Chachma, Bina, and Das of the Ein Sof in a powerfully contracted manner. Because obviously the intellect is much greater than what the intellect that we understand. So in a contracted manner of this intellect shines in the world of Bria. בכדי שיוכלו הנשמות והמלאכים שהם בעלי גבול ותכלס לקבל השפעה מבחינת חוכמה בינה דאס אלו. And this is in order that the souls and angels, which are finite beings, and they shall be able to receive influence from these categories of Chabad. Therefore, the Talmud, not the Mishnah but the Gemara, as we'll soon explain, the Talmud also originates from there, from the world of Beria. Why? Because the Talmud is also the category of Chabad. It's also the category of Chabad, because the Talmud consists of the clearly defined reasons of the halachas, and the reasons being rational are from the category of Chabad intelligence. Talmud time halachas al burin v'taimin emchines chochma bina das. So it says the Talmud belongs to the world of Beria. Now, the laws itself, the Talmud again is the reasoning, the analytic, intellectual understanding of the laws. The laws itself, they come from the godly emotive attributes. Rather than intellectual attributes, you have the emotive attributes. Emotive attributes meaning just like in emotions, when you love something, you like something, you say, this is good, this is not good, this should be done this way, this should be done that way. It's based on the emotive attributes. The Mishnah is also at stating the laws. This is permissible, this is not, this animal is kosher, this is not. In all kind of cases, it rules. What is the rule? That is connected with the world of Yetzirah, which we'll learn in tomorrow's lesson. So it says, "V'halachos atzmon midosav shel ein sof baruch hu she'en chesed din rachma v'chulu." And the laws themselves found in the Mishnah derive from the midas, the emotive attributes of the Ein Sof, namely kindness, severity, mercy, and so on. That's why in the Mishnah sometimes there is, the sages say, Bet Shammai says it is forbidden, Bet Hillel says that it is permissible. And the way it explains in Chassidus, that when you have the soul of Bet Hillel comes more from the soul of kindness, and that is why it is more lenient. The soul of Shammai, it comes from the side of severity. That's why it's more strict. Shemehem nimshach ha'heter v'yisu v'kosher v'apostle v'achiyu v'ptur. From there, from this godly emotive attributes from which originate permission and prohibition. Permission deriving from the kindness and prohibition from the severity. Ritual validity and invalidity, liability and blamelessness. So ritual validity and blamelessness originating from the attribute of kindness. Ritual invalidity and liability originating from the attribute of severity. As explained in the Tikkunim. So this is the end of today's shir, explaining what is the Shekhinah, what is the Holy of Holies of each world. This is the godly intellect, the Torah, the way it is in each world. And that is why it says that Hashem looked into the Torah and He created the world. And when we study the Torah and keep the Torah, we sustain the world, because that is the spiritual energy that each and every creature in this world receives. It is through the Torah, the way God ruled in the Torah. And it's very interesting to see the fact that not only the way God ruled in the Torah, but the way God gave us the Torah that we're going to celebrate next week, the holiday of Shavuos. That Hashem gave the Torah to us, that with our understanding in the Torah and with our ruling in the Torah, the way God set it up, that we should rule in the Torah based on the understanding of the majority of the rabbis, for example, that can actually change and affect things in this world. There was a story of a person who was not well. He was sick, and he came to a rabbi. And the rabbi told him to move to another city, another town. And he explained that when he spoke to the doctors, he understood that there was a certain problem in an internal problem that he had. Now, this particular problem is found in halacha, meaning in the Jewish law, when you have an animal, you have to check the animal after the slaughtering, of course, to eat the kosher meat. It has to be slaughtered properly, but then after also, the animal needs to be checked for problems if there is no health problems, meaning if there is no damage in the animal inside, which a damage that can cause the animal to die within 12 months, then it's considered not kosher. It's considered treif, because the animal is considered like it's already dead before it died. Then there is a certain issue that there was a dispute between different sages, and in his town, he ruled that this particular problem is considered not kosher, meaning not healthy. But in another town, there was another rabbi that ruled in a more lenient way, saying, no, this is still considered a healthy animal and still considered kosher. So he says, he's told this person, go move to that town. Because here in this town, we ruled that this is not kosher, because that person had an issue which was a similar issue in his health issues. They told him, move to the other town, because in the other town, there is a rabbi there that rules according to that opinion that this is considered healthy. Therefore, you'll move there, then you're under the ruling, the authority of this rabbi, then you live. And that's what happened. We find that in many cases that we find that the ruling of the Torah God gave us, rules the Torah, the world through the Torah. So this is the end of today's shir. And this Shabbos is Shabbos before Shavuos. It's considered the Shabbos of unity. We'll get together. We have a special guest speaker. So join us in the shul, It's Hashem, for the Kiddush after davening tomorrow and tomorrow afternoon as well. All the best. Have a good Shabbos.